This is KC8YZR. I am wanting to do a little demonstration video here, and had recently done a demonstration at our local club. I got frustrated because the Wi-Fi was not connecting well. There was no Wi-Fi in the building. I was trying to connect to broadband outside the building, and our club is like a military hut. We were blessed to have that building, but inside that building, unless there's an antenna in outside, it's hard to get any reception to anything. You might get 1 or 2 bars on your actual cell phone, but picking up broadband or digital anything from outside is almost impossible. That being said, that day when I done that demonstration, one of the guys in the club that he's had wanted me to build him another hotspot, and I did, and he got into it, and he brought me his old one and said it no longer works. It just kept locking up or doing this or that. And I came home and I flashed a new SD card and put it in it and reprogrammed it, and everything worked great. With that being said, I'm not saying nothing about, I have these questions all the time, and I help people with these, and I build them, and I enjoy doing that. It's a part of the hobby that I love. I love digital radio. I love seeing more and more people get onto it. I mostly talk DMR. I recently got into C4 FM and a little bit of Fusion. My love for digital radio so far has been DMR. But I want to show everybody how to flash an SD card and get everything back up and running once something goes down. And guys, I recommend do backups on your SD cards. So I'm going to make a transition here in a minute. We're going to move to my computer as I process this video. So let's continue. This may take a few. All right, this is KC8YZR again. I'm sorry about the weird transition. Putting this out there, I'm going to go through this step by step, and it's going to take a few minutes. I normally do this. I can normally totally redo a SD card and flash everything back to my hotspot in about, 10 to 15 minutes, depending on the computer and the internet. But anyway, I'm going to move on here. We're going to go to video. You should be able to see anything I'm doing on my computer screen now. As you can see, I'm doing this on OBS Studio, and I'm going to go to my home screen, and there's going to be a couple things you're going to need. You're going to need this program called Balena Etcher. I will put on the website exactly where you can get that. I will show you that. You're going to need to go to, I Google it normally, but it's etcher.balena.io downloads. But if you Google it, download Etcher, it's usually the first website that pops up. Download that. When you download it, make sure you pick the correct version for your computer. Etcher for Windows, if you get 32-bit, pick this one. If it's 64, pick this one. Try not to pick, if it's a portable computer, it's a smaller version here. It really don't matter. If you run a Mac, pick this one. I'm going to move on here. I've already got this on my computer. I'm not going to download it again. Then you will need to go to your drive here. Now I'm going to slide my SD card out for a second, and I'm going to go back to it. Shut down my thing here, my drives. I pulled that SD card out. Now I'm going to slide it back in. Once I do that, you're going to see an additional drive pop up here. Now this one here has got everything on it. I'm going to erase that. I started to do a video and just explain to you guys how to do it. I'm going to go ahead and format it like I'm asking you guys to do. It's going to say quick format. If you got an SD card that has nothing on it, it's not going to have that boot in there. Hit start. It's fairly quick. Do a quick format, especially if it's a new SD card. If it's not, you can do a full format if you want. It doesn't really matter. Hit OK. If it's an old SD card, I guess I do recommend doing a full format. Close this. Go up here to Bleeding Edge. All right. Pop that up. Pop this up. Now you're going to need to go to pistar.uk/downloads. Download the October 30th, 2021 version of Pistar. If you click on this, you can see where I've done this 3 or 4 times, but that file is right here. Once it downloads, it's going to take a few minutes. It's a large file. You hit save. It'll put it on your computer. Put it in my downloads file. It's where it'll go in most of your Windows computers. All right, I'm not doing that again. So I'm going to hit cancel. Go back down here to Bleeding Edge. Pull this up. Flash from file. You'll see that. You'll see where I actually downloaded it last month. Click on that file. Select target. Make sure you pick mine's a 32 gigabyte SD card, USB. Make sure you don't hit. I've also got another external hard drive which got a lot of my pictures and stuff on it. Make sure you don't hit that if you've got an external hard drive or additional drives. Click on this, hit select, hit flash. All right, this window is going to come up. Do you want to allow this app to make changes to your device? Hit yes. All right, it's going to go through here. This is going to take a minute or so. So decompressing, it's putting all the files on your SD card. To let you know, I do have the hotspot disconnected. It does not have an SD card in it. Once this is done, I'm going to show you guys how I connect to the Wi-Fi, or connect my hotspot to the Wi-Fi and put my information on. I think it's simpler. I seem to have more success with my computer. I think it depends on the computer. I've never had much luck with the supplement files. I always just skip that. So I probably just made this whole thing confusing, but this is flashing. It's fairly quick, depending on your computer. But like I said, I recommend when you do this, do 2 of them at a time. Put the other one in a case and put it on your shelf somewhere, and if you have issues, just slide it in there and update it. Just validating, so it's actually finished. I could hit skip. I will hit skip. I don't recommend that because it does verify. It says flash complete. If it did not work, it will say flash failed. When I hit skip that, I was really hoping it didn't do that, but anyway. All right, now you exit out of this. I'm going to go down here and exit out of that. Now I'm going to explain. You're going to be able to hear me. My lighting in here is horrible. I'm pulling my SD card out, taking it out of my SD card reader. I am sliding it back into the hotspot. Okay. Now I'm going to disconnect my SD card reader from the computer, and I'm going to plug that USB in directly into my computer. And that being said, your USB hotspot should light up. You'll see the this particular hotspot I'm using it's just a hotspot nano or a Pi Zero W board with a hat on it, and I just connected it to my USB port, and Now I am waiting. You will need to go down here to your internet access connections. As you can see, this says Hotspot. It's just what I named the router that is connected to all my hotspots. I've got multiple hotspots that normally run in this house. So I clicked on that. At this point, I am going to disconnect from that Wi-Fi. Disconnect there. Once it lets me, I'm going to turn that back on. I may have to disconnect because it automatically connects to that one. But eventually it's going to pop up and say pi-star setup. It'll act like it's its own Wi-Fi network, or its own little hotspot. And you'll be able to connect it directly to your computer long enough to get it set up. I know guys that just run theirs that way. If you're wanting to use it in your car or whatever, connected to your phone or whatever, I mean, you're not going to be able to do that unless you set this thing up correctly to Wi-Fi and to your hotspot connection on your phone. It says available. The hotspot's still connecting. Like I said, this takes a while. It's going to come up, and every now and then I will turn this off and back on just to get it to refresh. You can also go in here to show available networks, and but it's the same thing. So, I mean, it's just a waiting game. And like I said, a lot of people struggles and says that it never shows up on their computer. I thought that at one time in mine too, and I just had to be patient. A lot of times I would unplug it, plug it back in, and it would pop right back up. But if you do it in the order I'm telling you, I believe if you wait a few minutes or keep refreshing your networks, it'll pop up. Eventually, when I get better with video, I may re-edit this and take some of this waiting game out. But I think some of the information that I'm saying, like I said, there was a point where I hated DMR radio. At times I thought it was confusing. A lot of people don't like writing code plugs. I got to where I love DMR, but once you get your code plug set the way you want, you get your frequencies in the way you want, you learn your radio, DMR is an awesome setup. I mean, you just turn to that channel you're wanting to use and that frequency. If it's on the hotspot or if it's on a repeater. I don't have a DMR repeater that I can hit from my house, so I use a hotspot from home most of the time. So, guys, it's hotspots are a gift if you don't have a local repeater. So I believe that we're going to set up a DMR repeater at our clubhouse very soon. I'm going to be working with them on that if all goes well. And then me and some of the guys have talked about it recently. So here it is. There it popped up. Pi-star -setup. Click on that, hit connect. All right. Automatically it popped up here. I'm not going to do that, and that's in Chrome. I'm going to switch over. I seem to have better luck in Microsoft Edge. It's still showing the one I had up before, so I'm going to delete that. I'm X'd out of that. I'm going to go back to Edge. Go up here and hit. You'll need to go to pi-star.local right here. All right. It says no mode defined. You'll be redirected to the configuration portal in 10 seconds. Just hit configuration. I go up here, hit configure Wi-Fi. Now, guys, this is the part a lot of people stumbles over. Scan networks for 10 seconds. Usually don't take 10 seconds. Sometimes it does. Go up here and hit domain. I don't even know that this really matters, but I always do it anyway. Find US and select your hotspot. This is one I use for all my ham radio stuff. All right, type in your password, which you selected hotspot. Hit save and connect. All right, I hope I did that correctly, but we'll know here in just a minute. All right. Eventually, you're going to come in here and you're going to put your call sign in. We can go ahead and do that, I guess. KC8YZR. And hit apply changes. All right. If you pay attention here, after you hit apply changes, this is all going to go blank. And then after this screen pops back up, everything's going to come up. Click out of this. When you first went into this, mine did not do it because I've done this so many times it saves passwords. It's going to ask you for username and password. Your username is pi-star. Your password is raspberry, RASPBERRY. All right, once that's done, this popped up again. Want me to say password? Go in here and hit TMR mode. Okay, make sure this is set to simplex. And set your frequency 443.550. I mean, pick your frequency. Make sure it's nothing close to anything that you're already running locally. Test that out a little bit. But pick your frequency. Anyway, and then hit apply changes. And then I went ahead and done that. I probably should have. We need to reboot and wait here in a minute and get on our regular network. And I'll show you how to do that. After it resets here. Okay, it pops up. Once you get to this point, it's going to tell you that no modem has been selected. I'm going to hit OK. Then I'm going to go up here to power. And I'm going to hit reboot. And I'm going to say OK. And now go down here, whichever network, if you got multiple routers or whatever in your house like I do, make sure you pick the one that you chose. Whichever network that you put on your hotspot, or it's not going to work. So, see, it's still popping this up here, but the hotspot's still rebooting. All right, go back to that one. That's the one that I chose. Make sure that you pick the exact same one that you put on your hotspot. And guys, YouTube is your friend when you're doing this stuff. When I first got into DMR, I spent hours and hours listening to Ham Radio 2.0 and other YouTube videos on how to do this stuff, and little by little, I learned a lot. As you can see, this just popped back up in Microsoft Edge. You can see everything's blank, nothing's working yet. Hit configuration. All right, it's going to come back up. It's going to ask for your username and password, pi-star. And then the password is raspberry. All right, sign in. All right, it's going to come up and tell you that there's no modem been selected. Go down here to modems. Select your modem. Pick it, HS hat, DBM 9, MAT. Just make sure it's GPIO. There's a lot of these that'll work. And make sure it's not a dual hat, unless you're running a dual hat. I showed you guys the one that I was doing. Like I said, it's a Pi Zero W board with a single simplex hat. So, and then once you select that, hit apply changes. In the meantime, I hope everybody that's listening to this has already got a Brandmeister account set up and has their DMR ID. If you don't, just go to radioid.net and register for your DMR ID. And you need a Brandmeister password if you're running on the Brandmeister network. If you're on TGIF, you need a TGIF password. If you're registered, you can pull that up automatically. The same with Brandmeister. On Brandmeister, you can just go in and change your password at will. So as you guys can see, interface is up. It's on my Wi-Fi router, which I named Hotspot, just because it's what I use for all my ham radio stuff. So the kids don't affect me a whole lot when I'm on the radio and they're in there playing their Nintendo Switch. Right down here, put your DMR ID, which would be 3. All right, put that in there. Go down here, click on, go down here. Most of us, well, I'm in Ohio, so go to Brandmeister, United States, 3104 is what I use, and hit apply changes. There's going to be a bunch of this apply changes. If you're in this section and you change something, hit apply changes. If you're in this section, hit apply changes here. Don't do all of them at once and hit apply changes, because part of them's probably not going to take effect. And as we're waiting, once again, I'm going to say this. I say this a lot of times anytime I do anything ham radio. I've had guys get on here and on an APRS video and say, anytime you're doing APRS, you're not Part 97 compliant unless you are calling out your call sign every so many minutes. And if you're going to do that, I mean, I do recommend that you use good ham radio practices, and you'll never see me on here showing you how to do anything that's illegal. If you're just wanting to critique and criticize, then find a different video to watch. I'll be straight up with that. And if not, if you like the video, I appreciate it. Come back, and I'm sure I'll be doing more in the future. I'm doing this as a backup. I'm not going to fill all this out, but you can go in here, and like my town is Chillicothe, Ohio, and fill all this out. But I'm not going to do all that right now. All right. Like I said, you'll need to go to Brandmeister and set up your Brandmeister self-care repeater information. You can actually click right here. I'm going to do that and show it to you. It's going to come up in here and pull that up. Let me log in, and I might have typed in the wrong DMR ID, but it'll bring you to your self-care page if you put the correct DMR ID in there. And this is mine, and this is your hotspot security, and it's where you change that. I'm not going to do that, but you just type that in once and hit save password, and that's what your hotspot password will be. So your Pi-Star Brandmeister password. So you look at my devices. There's my DMR ID 3168842. So I'm going to go back to here, and okay, now I see why it's not showing that, because I never let it get to that point. I guess I did. Here. Okay. Yeah, here. 3168842. Yeah, it didn't recognize me because I didn't have my password in there. So, okay. I've got my password in there. If you're running multiple hotspots, you can set these because you don't want them on the same. So it'll put an extension at the end of it, 02 or whatever, 03, 04. Just select one, and then just make sure that number are the same, and hit apply changes. And at that point, you're pretty well done. But I'm going to show you a couple things. Wait, I'm going to do one more thing. I forgot to set up my display. And once I have done that, if you go back to this Brandmeister site here, you'll see that if you click on that, see how that is red? That means mine is not connecting to the network. But it'll change to green once that comes back up. That's one way to see if you were actually connected. And you just watch that, and it'll pop up. So, and I may need to update all my stuff because it's been a while since I've used this hotspot. So, another thing I recommend at some point, after you get up and going, come back in here and hit your update. But if you go to your dashboard, It'll come up, and this light should be green. This light should be green. And you're on time slot 2, color code 1. There's my DMR ID 3168842. And you're set to go. I don't have a charged DMR radio right now. It actually just went dead. But if you go to that frequency and you've got a code plug set up with a frequency in there programmed correctly and click it up, it'll pop up right here. So going back, that says everything's enabled. Let's go back in here for just a second. Click here. Let's refresh this screen. And I don't know why it's coming up with that error. Okay, there we are. It was 04. I have another 02, which is not connected right now. I disconnected it earlier. There's 04. See the green light and the plug-in? That means I am connected. Like I said, you want to go in here and change anything. You can put a description. You can put your longitude and latitude in here. I have not done that yet. I normally do that in Brandmeister, so people know my location, where I'm at. It actually read all this from the hotspot. So going on, that's how you set up a Pi-Star SD card. So, all right, guys, I'm going to end this video, and we will move on from here. Appreciate it.